Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for requesting this private session of EFT tapping that Kat and I are getting ready to do.
Your dog is definitely going to be a part of this.
He's like, I
Most
won't have it any
definitely.
other way. If you watch the podcast, my dog was all over the end of it, and I tried to get him out of my lap. I'm like, pulled in. I'm like, it's tight against my desk as I can be right now, and he's still like coming at me.
He knows that I'm a dog
Anyway,
lover.
yes, it's all right. Well, let him participate as much as I can. Um, so today we're going to do an EFT tapping round. And what did you want to work on today? I know you've got some stress going on with all the settlement
Mm,
you're doing with the property and stuff. So
yeah.
what are the main feelings that you're contending with?
Oh my gosh. So many feelings. So this property is literally like our dream property. We've had our eye on it for a year. I've been visiting it for a year. I feel like I have a relationship with this property already. We got into contract last week, and today is actually our potential close date. Um, and we went out to go visit the property this last weekend, actually yesterday, and ran into some neighbors. And the neighbors were like, "Hey, did you get like some perk testing done to make sure that you can get your septic tank in there?" And we hadn't really had any sort of reasons to question this. There's lots of properties around there. They're all about 10-acre lots, the same as ours, and they all have septic tanks. And so we were just sort of like, we'll just deal with that next year when we can put a septic tank in, right? Um, but it definitely like gave us a little bit of like pause, and we were thinking, hey, we're gonna have to get that perk test done next year anyway. Why not just get it done before we make the biggest purchase of our lives? And and just, yeah, sort of do that. The complications on the logistics side of it is that that means that we're going to have to negotiate with the seller to see if we can extend our close date out. Um, there's been some, I guess, a bit of skepticism in terms of like how well our agent is advocating for us, and how truthful the other agent is. Um, the neighbors that we also talked with yesterday, sort of questionable in terms of like their motives as well. Um, and so there's like a lot of like, I want to trust, and I want to, like, my big word of my life is surrender. I want to be able to sort of surrender, and I'm struggling to do so in this moment because of all the parties that are involved and their sort of like vested interests um, in this transaction. I mean, there's a lot of money on the table,
Sure.
and so there's a lot of pressure being put on us by the agents, um, and and I don't like making decisions from a place of dysregulation. I don't like making decisions from a place of scarcity, and so I think what my husband and I talked about this morning is like, if they can't extend that close date out, which I think is a reasonable ask, for a week, especially because they aren't even going to be able to get in to like clean out the property
Right.
until
You don't have
after
any
our
reason
close
to think
date.
that they wouldn't at this point, do you?
There's been some communication sort of leaning in that direction.
Okay.
So there's been no interest in this property for the year that it's been up, and the agent on their side has told us that there's somebody else interested, which I don't know if I believe, which is like that inability to sort of trust and
Hmm.
surrender into the process is coming up for me. So
So how does that make you feel? Like, how are you feeling about this pressure?
the only word that comes up is unsettled, and I feel it just like straight in my, like, not my stomach, but like slightly above my stomach, like between solar plexus and stomach,
Okay.
where there's just sort of this like rumbly, like like I want to just trust the words that people are saying to me, but I feel like my intuition is telling me, no, I can't trust them.
Okay. So what does that mean to you as far as the decision that you're going to make? If you don't trust and your intuition is telling you otherwise, then what does that make you want to do?
This is like the biggest crossroads, right? Is like one part of me wants to say if they won't extend the close date out, then it feels like they're trying to hide something. Like they've tried to perk the land before and it hasn't perked.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's a reasonable ask. And so I'd be really suspicious if they said no. And then on the flip side of it is like, quite honestly, I know that we'd be able to. I've talked to several septic tank people this morning. I know that we would be able to get a septic tank out there. It's about how much is it going to cost us. So like even if the land doesn't perk, it means that we're going to have to build up like basically like land structure to be able to hold a septic tank, um and it would double our budget for what we had thought about in terms of what we'd be in on investing in a septic tank.
Right.
So like there's a part of me that's like, okay, so it's the difference between my dream property that I've been like literally just like in love with for a year or $15,000. Like that's kind of what the difference is. And so I'm sort of sitting with that and being like, like chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. That's awesome. So when you think about this, would you call this stress? What would you call this? Or just being unsettled?
I think just like uncertainty, it doesn't feel stressful. I know like ultimately, like if this doesn't work out, we're going to be okay. You know, my husband and I are okay. There's nothing about this that feels like it's like threatening to
Right.
us, you know,
Okay. So when you
as
think
a
about the
unit.
uncertainty, let's give it a rating. 0 is you don't have to worry about it because there's no uncertainty, and 10 is like the most uncertainty possible. And
Oh
being
man,
uncertain is fine too.
I want to call it an 8.
Okay. That's fine. I'm going to write that down for you. Any of you who are listening along and want to do this tapping with us, if you have an uncertainty in your life, it doesn't have to be about buying property. Any kind of uncertainty, you can kind of translate this to your own uncertainty. So write your own number down to begin with. I always say write the numbers down because we love to just discount what can change in a short period of time or think like, oh, I guess it wasn't that bad. So, all right, we're at an 8 and I'm just going to have you do what I'm doing. So be like, follow the leader here. And we're going to hope that Mowgli doesn't try to come follow the leader with me here. Like pacing. Start by just taking a nice deep breath, Kat. And we're just tapping on this karate chop point on the side of the hand. Even though there's all this uncertainty about buying this property,
Even though there's all this uncertainty about buying this property,
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
I love, accept, and forgive myself.
Even though I'm feeling skeptical about the process,
Even though I'm feeling skeptical about the process,
I just don't quite trust what's unfolding in front of me.
I don't quite trust what's unfolding in front of me.
I love and accept myself anyway.
I love and accept myself anyway.
And even though this is my dream property,
Even though this is my dream property,
and it's upsetting that there's all these complications,
and it's upsetting that there's all these complications,
I'm open to the idea that it will all work out for the highest good of all.
I'm open to the idea that it'll all work out for the highest good of all.
Now we're going to start transitioning through the other points, starting with the top of the head. All this uncertainty.
All this uncertainty.
I feel it like a rumbling above my stomach.
I feel it like a rumbling above my stomach.
Move down to the eyebrow. I'm just not sure if all the players in this are being truthful.
I'm just not sure if all the players in this are being truthful.
Side of the eye. I really want to surrender, but it doesn't feel like I can.
I really want to surrender, but it doesn't feel like I can.
I don't know if my agent is advocating well for me.
I don't know if my agent is advocating well for me.
I don't know what the neighbors' motives are.
I don't know what the neighbors' motives are.
Not really sure if we need this test or not.
I'm not sure if we really need this test or not.
But we only budgeted for so much with the septic tank.
But we only budgeted so much for the septic tank.
And I'm worried that it's going to cost twice as much.
And I'm worried that it's going to cost twice as much.
And I just don't feel like people are willing to cooperate.
And I just feel like people aren't willing to cooperate.
And it makes my intuition feel a bit shaky.
It makes my intuition feel a bit shaky.
This is our dream property.
This is our dream property.
And I have a lot of dreams invested in it already.
And I have a lot of dreams invested in it already.
All this uncertainty in my stomach.
All this uncertainty in my stomach.
I'm at such a crossroads right now.
I'm at such a crossroads right now.
We are supposed to be settling today.
We're supposed to be settling today.
I guess we still could.
I guess we still could.
But it just feels like we're supposed to get a little more information first.
But it just feels like we're supposed to get a little more information first.
Be a little bit more certain about this process.
Be a little bit more certain about this process.
And to me, it feels like that should be something that's really easily afforded.
And to me, that feels like it's something that should be easily afforded.
I mean, we're really serious about buying the property.
We're really serious about buying this property.
And if they don't have anything to hide, why shouldn't we be able to do the test?
And if they don't have anything to hide, why shouldn't we be able to do this test?
Now we have to negotiate with the seller.
Now we have to negotiate with the seller.
None of this is my favorite.
None of this is my favorite.
I just want to be the property owner already.
I just want to be the property owner already.
Done with all the silly paperwork and tests and everything else.
Done with all the silly paperwork and tests and everything else.
And I don't want this septic stuff to cost me twice as much as we budgeted for.
And I don't want this septic stuff to cost me twice as much as we budgeted for.
All this uncertainty about this property.
All this uncertainty about this property.
It kind of makes me second guess if it's meant to be.
Kind of makes me second guess if it's meant to be.
It also makes me second guess if it's worth it, if I could just pay the $15,000.
It also just makes me second guess if it's worth it to just pay the $15,000.
Because I do really want the property.
Because I do really want the property.
So I have this internal tug of war going on.
So I have this internal tug of war going on.
And an external tug of war going on.
And an external tug of war going on.
With these things that seem like power plays.
With these things that seem like power plays.
Open to the idea that everything's going to work out.
Open to the idea that everything is going to work out.
None of this is a do or die situation.
None of this is a do or die situation.
We could get the property and this dream could live on.
We could get the property and this dream could move on.
Or maybe there's something even greater waiting out there for us.
Or maybe there's something even greater waiting for us.
Just opening up to the surrender of the situation.
Just opening up to the surrender of the situation.
And realizing that nothing I ever want is upstream.
And realizing that nothing I ever want is upstream.
Take a nice deep inhale through your nose, Kat. And exhale out fully through your mouth. What are you feeling now?
I feel like I've not in a sort of disassociative way, but sort of like in a more higher perspective way, been able to look at the situation. Because ultimately, I think the only way that we're going to say no to this property is if they come back and say, no, we won't allow you to extend out the close date. Or if the perk study comes back and says that there's absolutely no way to put a septic tank on here. I think that even if we budgeted out $15,000 for the septic, even if they came back and said it's going to cost you $30,000 to put a septic in here, I think I'd still be in.
Yeah. And then what are they going to do if they don't let you do the test? What are they going to do? Put some provision on selling it to somebody else that they're not allowed to perk test?
Yeah,
it doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense, and the only thing that I can see them doing is just not disclosing. They don't have to disclose if perk tests were done or what the results are. And that just makes me feel kind of gross about the kind of people that we're dealing with, if that's going to be the case. But we also don't have that information yet. We're playing telephone with sellers, and there's 2 faulty telephone lines in the way that have their own sort of vested interests in, I don't really trust real estate agents. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you want to move forward with it almost no matter what.
Yeah, the only way we're not moving forward is if they came back with a no, because then it's we've made some big accommodations to let them stay through till the end of the month. So if they can't make this accommodation, that's kind of a big tell. Or if the septic people come back and say there's no way that we can put a septic tank here, which I highly doubt. Yeah, even if it's for the more expensive septic tank, I think I'm still in.
Yeah. So where do you feel like you are on that scale of 0 to 10 now?
I still feel it in my body. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking
that's going to be a hard one to get rid of until you have your decisions and have
your... Yeah. So I feel like I'm maybe at a 6.
Cool. So we took a little bit of the edge off of it.
Yeah.
So if I was working with you and we were going further, I would probably explore the preconceived ideas that you have about all the different people that are part of this process, and just trying to release some of those, because then you'll be in a better place for moving forward. Kind of even though I have all these preconceived ideas about all the different players in this, I love, accept, and forgive myself. And it can be even though I think this one's a total liar, and I don't know, you can just have it out on your own and just have all those feelings flow. And I don't trust the industry, and this is BS, and whatever. Just have it out for a minute and just see if you can get yourself to the point of being able to say I'm open to the idea that maybe nobody has a bad agenda here. And maybe everybody is just doing the best they know how to with the information they have right now. And because I think if you can genuinely get yourself to feeling that way by releasing some of the negative feelings that you have, you'll probably feel like a lot more of like a clean slate moving into this next part of the process, whatever it's going to be. So thank you for so vulnerably sharing everything that you're going through right now. And for any of you that tapped along with us on your own uncertainties, I always love to hear from people. I'd love to hear like what your number was before and after, what you tapped on, that kind of thing. You can email me at Theresa@theresalearlevine.com. And I know you guys are probably going to want to hear like what ended up happening with Kat. So hopefully she'll share on an upcoming episode or something.
Yeah.
But you might like to hear people's results too if they tapped also. So do you want to share your email address?
Absolutely. I'm pretty open on Instagram, and so that's
Okay, that's fine
actually
too.
the best way to find me
Perfect.
and to DM me is kat.hosoo.lee. So
Perfect.
yeah, hopefully this all moves forward and I get to have my dream homesteading property very
Yes,
soon.
I'm rooting for you, but I know that even if it doesn't, you're still going to find something as amazing, if not better.
Oh gosh, yes.
I have no doubt about that. Oh,
Mhm.
he's back. But thank you for tapping with me and doing this with me
Yeah,
today. I really
yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, and we'll see you. We'll see you around. I'm really excited for your book, so I'm rooting for you on the book side.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Alrighty.